Hey everyone, welcome to another GoDaddy Pro meetup. This is the first one of 2022, I believe. So happy New Year to everyone
Mm.
joining us. Thanks for joining us to kick off the new year here. Today we're going to talk about GoDaddy's managed WooCommerce exclusive features. So we're going to talk about the things that have been built in. We'll get to some of how that works and stuff in just a moment, but that's where we are going to head. My name is Marcus Burnette. I am a marketing specialist, specifically on the WooCommerce side of things for GoDaddy Pro. And today I'm joined by our expert in all things managed WordPress e-commerce here, and that is Tabitha Turton. How are you doing today, Tabitha?
Very well, thank you. And it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm on the managed WordPress e-commerce team, so we build and maintain the platform and the native features that we'll be chatting about today. So I'm stoked. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to share these things too. Tabitha and I were both part of the Skyverge team that was acquired by GoDaddy back in 2020, and that is the team that has planned and developed these features that we're going to talk about today. So I am happy to have you here as well to tell us all about these things. Um, but first, yeah, let's talk about what we'll cover. So these are the kind of currently 7 built-in native exclusive features that have been added to GoDaddy's managed WordPress e-commerce hosting. It's sequential order numbers, URL coupons, Google Analytics, shipment tracking, cost of goods, email customization, and gift certificates. So we'll go through each one of these individually in just a minute here and talk about what they are, how they've been added, how you use them, and that sort of thing. I do want to mention here, like it says on the slide, there is a Q&A tab in the chat for those of you that are joining us here live at the in the virtual event. If you click over in the chat area, there's a Q&A tab. Feel free to go ahead and add your questions there at any time as we go through any of these slides. I'll be keeping an eye on those as we go along, but we'll also have some Q&A time at the end where we'll take a look at some of the questions that you have, and I'll get Tabitha to ring in on those. So please do go ahead and do that as we go along. Let's see. First, let's talk about what managed WordPress e-commerce hosting is. So, as you've probably guessed by the title of the event and the slides that have shown so far, this is a GoDaddy hosting plan, specifically a managed WordPress hosting plan that also includes the e-commerce plugin WooCommerce pre-installed for you. And then all of these native features as well. And then we also have it's over 70 additional included premium plugins that are included for free, that are part of that you can use to extend WooCommerce as well. Anything I missed there? Just trying to lay a little bit of groundwork, I guess, for what managed WordPress e-commerce hosting is.
Yeah.
Also, throughout, I'm going to probably jump back and forth between calling it managed WordPress e-commerce and managed WooCommerce, or just GoDaddy's WooCommerce hosting. It's all kind of one and the same. So I just wanted to go ahead and set that disclaimer out there as well.
Thanks for saying that because I probably will switch around as well. We have
Yeah.
our official title of the plan, the WordPress e-commerce managed WordPress e-commerce plan. We typically internally just call it managed WooCommerce. So I thank you. I'll probably
Yeah.
hesitate on that one as well because it's a bit of a mouthful. But yeah, I think you did a great job of going into some of the highlights of having a managed plan, and specifically that we're taking care of installing WooCommerce for you. That can be a bit of just a bit of a blocker when you're first setting up a new store. So if you
Mhm.
happen to work with clients, this is a really great plan for getting you up and running quickly, because we'll take care of spinning up that new instance for you and then walking you through the setup too, through like an onboarding wizard. And there are some other things, of course, we're going to get into more. So yeah, just teasing a bit of what's to come.
Yeah, you're getting a slide ahead, so I'll just go ahead
Okay.
and switch over to it, so you can keep sharing with us. Why get managed hosting? I guess, right? We offer it. We're not the only ones that offer it at GoDaddy, but why get managed hosting at all?
Well, it really cuts down on some of the administrative work that you need to do when you're maintaining your own WordPress and WooCommerce site on like a cPanel instance, because we're taking care of keeping those servers up to date for you. We're keeping WordPress up to date for you. Whatever updates you can kind of cut down on will really help, because of course then you have to consider like plugin updates that you need to manage in addition to that. So we're also providing an infrastructure that's tailor-made for WordPress and WooCommerce. And then the real benefit with our plan, and this is where my team comes in, is that we've been focused on building native features and experiences that aren't built into WooCommerce core, but we include with your plan that helps streamline the experience of managing an e-commerce site on that platform. And there's also the benefit of having access to all of those amazing premium plugins. So they're worth nearly $6,000 in annual subscription fees. I wouldn't recommend installing all, like right now, I think the count is like 72. That would be a lot. You probably don't have, if you don't have need for it, please don't do it. But they're there and available for you. And it can be things like improving the cart and checkout experience for your customers, or like including like a cart or checkout add-ons. You can expand like the marketing and messaging functionality of your site with the plugins. We have payment gateway options. We also have plugins that help you offer unique products like membership subscriptions or bookings. So all of that comes packaged in this plan, and you're not paying any additional fee for it.
Yeah, I can't imagine what kind of insane store would require all of the plugins. But the point, obviously, is that no matter what kind of store you are running, you have options available to you. We have, I think, a slide towards the end that has a couple of examples and stuff. But there are some that I would say most stores would benefit from using. And then there are kind of the different niche plugin sets. But the idea is that they're all covered there. So no matter what you need, what kind of store you're trying to run, there are extensions there for you to be able to do that.
Exactly.
All right. Next, so we're going to talk about native features that have been added to the managed WooCommerce hosting. Some of these were plugins before or ran similar to plugins before. So why build these in as native versus just having them as plugins as normal?
Well, I think it really hits at home with that first item that's there, that fewer plugins means that there's less to keep updated. And if with the merchants that I chat with on a regular basis, subsites require dozens of plugins, and so it can be a real time sink to have to manage updates for each plugin. If there's a major version release with WooCommerce that comes out, you'll often see then plugins follow suit and release updates as well. If you've got 20 plugins on your site, you're going through and manually updating each one. So we decided to build out some native features that wouldn't require that sort of maintenance going forward, because they're also features that would make sense to have as part of like the core experience of WooCommerce. We're also building them in such a way to make sure that you're not going to experience conflicts. As Marcus mentioned, our team, the SkyVerge team, is responsible for this experience in this platform, and we've got a lot of experience to back that up ourselves. We've been working within the WooCommerce ecosystem since early days. We built over 60 plugins for WooCommerce itself. So our team is very focused on producing solid, robust, and well-built code, and maintaining that going forward. And so we've applied that same rigor to the native features that we've built. And we've relied on some of the things that we've learned along the way too, with some of these features that we did transfer from a plugin experience to a native experience. And we just really think that these are features that should be there. And it can be a hassle to kind of go out and search, like, can I even add this functionality first and foremost? Is there a plugin? And then sometimes you find like a dozen plugins, and so like, who do you trust and who do you want to use? So we're kind of saving that step for you, where you don't have to go through that research overload, because that can be a bit of a bear to deal with.
Yeah, I feel like it was, what are the, top 5, just 5, for example. We have 7 here, but it was like, what are the top things that every store owner is installing? Why have people go through the process of having to figure out, oh, I need this, and who do I trust for this, and how does it work, and is it going to work with everything else that's going on in my store? Like, why not just have those things there from the get-go and save, time and money and all of that there. I do want to just side note there, yes, fewer plugins to keep updated is absolutely 100% fantastic. If you are managing client sites with lots of plugins and you need to keep them updated, also do remember to check out the Hub by GoDaddy Pro, which is free to sign up for and allows you to add all your sites and update all your WordPress and WooCommerce sites from one dashboard. So minus these ones that are built in that you don't even have to worry about, if you do have other plugins that you need to keep updated, the Hub by GoDaddy Pro is fantastic to check out. You can just do a Google search for it, or I think it's godaddy.com/hub will get you there as well. So just want to plug that in there real quick. So let's get to talking about the features themselves that we listed earlier. Just real quick here, just wanted to make sure if you're hanging out with us here in the chat, please do continue to have a conversation in there. I'll be hanging out in the chat as well, and if you have any questions, do please ask those in the Q&A, and we will get to those toward the end. So the first one we're going to talk about is sequential order numbers, which at its basic allows you to sort your orders, to number for your orders to be numbered in a sequential order rather than the way that they are by default within WordPress and WooCommerce, which is by post ID, which means if other posts have happened between orders, then your order numbers are all over the place. Why is something like this useful, Tabitha, for people that are managing stores?
Yeah, I think, well, with the post ID thing, that can be a real issue when it comes to like tax reporting time, because you are going to have gaps within your ordering system. So let's say that you've added or you've uploaded 10 images and a new order comes in. That's going to have order number 11 by default within WooCommerce. But with our feature, we're making sure that you start off at 1 if you are setting up a new site, or you can go in there and set your starting number. And we'll either start you on that number or look for, the highest existing number and then start you there because we also want to make sure that we're not duplicating any numbers. So and then going forward, you're not going to have those gaps. This isn't such a major issue for a US-based businesses, as far as I understand it. But I know that some of our UK-based merchants, for example, run into, having their tax filings flagged if they have these gaps when it comes time to submit everything. So it can be really helpful if you don't have those issues where you're located, to at least then have a better ordering system for your orders. And you can also add the prefixes and suffixes. So you could create, if you want to have some sort of date-based system for your order number format, you could set that up. You could also use acronyms. So like you might have 2 different stores. You have like a WooCommerce instance that's your that is your like B2C sort of setup, and then you've got a separate warehouse site. Then you could set up a different order number format for that warehouse instance of the site and be able to track the 2 systems separately, or the 2, use 2 different order formats for the 2 sites so that things don't get confusing when it comes to dealing with the bookkeeping and accounting needs. You can also separate out your free orders, because you don't necessarily need to be reporting on those internally, or you're not adding them, to your accounting system. So you can use the default order format that we provide, or you can modify it and add your own prefix, your own starting number. So you've got some flexibility there. So overall, it just makes it a lot easier to follow the order. The order sequence, and it is a mouthful. The order sequence of your sequential orders.
Yeah,
correct order format.
Exactly. Yeah, that's funny. I was remembering back putting this slide together earlier with and thinking about the prefixes and suffixes, and it totally escaped my brain that there are actually like available patterns for those prefixes and suffixes too, to be able to put in like date and that kind of thing. So I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, we see here that we have a month and a year
Hmm.
placeholder, but you can use we have other like dynamic placeholders that will pull it in or format it specifically so that you can have, like the month written out, but then uh, and not just the numbering system. So yeah, you've got some options there.
Yeah, actually pretty powerful there to be able to manage your orders much better, in addition to what it is at face value, which is just, putting them in a sequential order.
Yeah.
Next one we have is URL coupons, which allow you to use custom coupon URLs to, um, at the core to add a discount to the cart automatically, but also you have some other options in there like adding products to the cart. What can you tell us about URL coupons and some of the nifty things going on there?
Well, this is really useful if you want to share a discount like on your social, your YouTube page, via email, because it means that the recipient or whoever clicks on the code will be brought to your store, and they don't need to manually enter the coupon code. They just click that link, and it's applied to the cart, even if the cart isn't yet existing. And that's not something that you can do outside of using this feature unless you install a separate plugin for it. This can really help in cutting down that friction. The easier we make it to get someone through the ordering process and to your checkout page, the more likely they're going to complete that order and place it. So this is just one of those points where we're making it a little bit easier to get through there, and especially when you're using, various marketing channels. This is a great way to drop that link in, so that you're always having that call to action that's going to get your customer, well, it's going to be some sort of incentive for them to complete the checkout. There are additional features to it. So it's not just a straightforward, URL that you're sharing with your customers. We can make sure that they're getting directed to a specific page after they've clicked that link. We can make sure it only works for specific pages that they land on. So if you want to create a landing page where like everyone that visits this landing page is going to get 20% off of a category of items or your whole catalog or just this one specific product, you can use this feature to do that. You can also automatically add an item to their cart when they click this link. And so if you're, promoting a discount on baseball caps, then you could automatically add a specific baseball cap. Hopefully you're, something lovely like what Marcus is wearing there, and it would get added to their cart. You can also choose to defer applying the discount code. And so that's really useful because when you're setting up the requirements for a coupon, you have the option to say, this coupon will only work if this item or these items are in the cart. Well, if someone were to click that code and we didn't have this option here, it means that they would get a little notice saying, sorry, your cart's not eligible for this discount. But if we enable that defer apply feature or option, it means that we can wait and we'll just check the cart when items are added. And if they meet the requirements of the coupon, they're going to benefit from it. So it improves the user experience in the end by making sure that they're not, getting flagged there that they can't take advantage of the discount. And then the other really great feature about this is that you have the option to hide the coupon code on the cart or the checkout page or both. And there is a benefit to doing this in that it streamlines the process for your customer. They're not going to get distracted and leave your site. If they haven't been provided a coupon code and they see that there is a field there and that they could enter something, they might go on Google and look for available coupons. They could potentially find a competitor of yours that's offering the same items at a cheaper price, or that they'd rather shop with them than with you, you'd lose that sale. So if you're finding that people are kind of bouncing or dropping off during the checkout funnel, this might be something to experiment with, to see if by removing these fields, you're able to keep folks through the funnel stages and actually see the order, like an increase in the number of order fulfillments percentage, like the order rate.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned it or not. One of the things that I've used this for historically is like, if I'm like for a client, if I'm advertising their store for them in places, using these to automatically apply those discounts rather than having, you know, enter in code whatever, and then people have to remember what the code was. They're clicking on it and they're flipping back and forth or whatever. This way you can just run, click here for 30% off this thing, and they click on it and go straight to your store and don't have to remember what the code was. They don't have to remember to type it
Exactly.
in. Like, all of that just cuts that out and makes it super easy for sort of either email advertisement or advertisement on, banners on different sites and stuff like that. Super helpful for
Yep.
that. All right. The next one, Google Analytics. I'm sure that a number of folks watching are familiar with Google Analytics, but what is it specifically with Google Analytics and event tracking that's been added here, specific kind of to the managed WordPress e-commerce hosting platform?
Yeah. Well, first, if you're not familiar with Google Analytics, I hope that you go and check it out afterwards, or you have some method of tracking, events on your site and what people are doing when they're coming to your store, because it's really important to have that data to analyze what's working, what isn't, so that you can make improvements and increase your revenue. So with Google Analytics,
we do have a couple of
okay.
events that we did back in November and December that talked specifically about Google Analytics as well. So feel free to go check those out also at events.godaddy.com. Just going to keep plugging things as they make sense here.
Nice.
So, but yeah, we did talk about Google Analytics leading up to kind of the holiday time, and there's a really great presentation that we did. And so make sure to go back and watch that if you're not at all familiar with Google Analytics. There's a lot of really good stuff there.
Oh, it's an amazing tool. And it's just, I think it's really, really crucial to have it. I love data because I want to see, how things are working and what I can make changes to. And this is this plugin, well, sorry, not a plugin anymore. This native feature makes it possible to do that out of the gate. All you have to do is connect your Google account. So if you don't have one, you'll need to set that up. But once you have set up the Google account, it's basically a two-step process to connect it to your WooCommerce store with our feature. You just have to, enter your credentials and you're good to go. And what it makes possible is that then we'll be able to track e-commerce related events within Google Analytics, because those aren't built in, at least not into the universal analytics setup. So with this feature, you can then have all of these events tracked and logged for your store, be able to then view them within your Google Analytics dashboard. You can modify the events that we start you off with. It's a long list of I think 40, maybe 30 different events. You can choose to not track each of them if you prefer. You can also change the wording for them. If there's something that you'd be more comfortable with seeing within your Google Analytics site, then you could change how it's entered within our feature, and then that will be represented. It will be updated and reflected within your Google account. You can also view then the checkout funnel. So I was referencing that earlier, and it's really important to understand, where people are dropping off, to see if you have a significant drop off at some point in the stage. It can be an indication that they're hitting some sort of barrier, which could be an experience barrier. They might be concerned about shipping fees or something like that, or it could be a technical barrier. It's a good idea to keep an eye on that. Maybe a button isn't working that will take them to the next stage. So this is set up for you so that you have it reflected as a checkout behavior report within Google Analytics and be able to, you can then, reference it and make those improvements as you need to.
Yeah, there's a ton here under the hood. It's kind of hard to represent everything that's going on with Google Analytics and tracking WooCommerce events and all of that sort of on one slide. It deserves its own whole thing. Like I said, we did do a Google Analytics presentation, and I added just for those that are hanging out here with us in the chat, I did add a link in the chat to that here as well. So it's back on our events.godaddy.com site, so feel free to check it out. If you're not hanging out here in the chat and seeing the links, why not? I'm just kidding. Feel free to come join us next time in the chat. We're hanging out in chat and talking. But yeah, there's like a ton going on here, and it was kind of difficult to sort of squeeze it down into one slide. But as you get in there into your site and start looking through all the different settings and all the different customization options and stuff, it's really powerful.
Yeah, and it saves you, having to do this piecemeal by adding code to, PHP templates or like individual pages on your site. This feature takes care of it for you in making sure that tracking information, that tracking code is there, and we're getting all of those really important e-commerce events, which is also a benefit as opposed to like a lot of the plugins that are on the market are focused on WordPress analytics. So you're not getting, the e-commerce related information for your store.
Yeah, this is one of those, if we go back to what we were talking about earlier, where you sit down to your new site and you're like, okay, I need some analytics. And you type in Google Analytics plugin, and there's like 50 of them, and you have no idea what to pick, what's going to do the best job, whether it's not, whether it's going to work for your WooCommerce store or not. So this is one of those where we've definitely, I think, saved a lot of time by just having it built in and being like, look, here it is. This is the one that's going to work. It's already optimized for tracking store events for WooCommerce. So like, here you go. Just connect it and be off and running.
Yep.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about shipment tracking. Shipment tracking is the ability for you as a store merchant to be able to add tracking number, URL, and carrier information to the site to communicate with your customers. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the feature itself and how people use that?
Yeah. So it is really important for streamlining the order fulfillment process and setting good expectations, healthy expectations with your customers, and just really improving communication. Because what's interesting with WooCommerce, the concept of shipped doesn't exist. So we've created it and added it. When you look at the order statuses, you have on hold, you've got processing, you got pending, you've got completed, refunded, you have no shipped. So we wanted to make it possible to to include that, since so many folks that use WooCommerce are selling shippable goods. So at some point you want to be able to communicate, and update your customers about the tracking information to make sure that they know where they're at within the process, and then they can go off and track the package and know when to expect its arrival.
Yeah, that shipped status is important because there's like more nuance to orders than just you ordered it and now it's complete, right? Because you could have multiple things that are shipping at different times, and so you can't just market the entire thing as complete, but you might have shipped some out and it's still processing, so you're not quite sure where you are in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Like, and then having to like set little reminders for yourself to know, I guess you're adding order notes in, to make sure that you stay on top of it. And like, okay, I've got like order, package 2 of 3 is now sent. But with this, it's built into the order record itself. So when you go in to look at the order and you want to update, a status, or you want to look at the details, and you want to add your tracking information, we have a section on the order record where you can add it in. And this is just the pop-up that appears that we see here in the slide, where you can enter your tracking number. We will recognize the tracking number format, and and apply one of these listed carriers if, based on the format that you've entered. So if you're entering, 1Z and then a bunch of numbers after, that's going to be UPS. So we're going to grab that for you. So you don't even have to select from the dropdown unless it's one of the carriers that we're not able to pull out for you. And then you'd want to add your tracking URL. You can choose to create multiple packages. So each entry is for one package. You can specify how many items are in this package. So then you can see when you go back to the order, okay, this is what's shipped so far. This is the tracking information for it. And then these are the items that haven't shipped. And you can then go back, add additional tracking information for them. And each time you add the shipment tracking, once you saved it, we're going to schedule an item shipped email for you. So this is a new email. It's not available within WooCommerce Core. That goes out to your customers and will have then a URL that they can click. It'll bring them back to that tracking page for their package. And also when they sign in, so they log into their customer area on your site, they'll also have that information within the order details where they can click through and get, insight into the package status.
Yeah, and then also on the back end, right, you were talking about like the order notes and keeping track of all that. The shipment tracking is on the order page itself. Like if you're an administrator looking at an order page, it's on there. If you're looking at kind of the list of orders, there's a new column as well. That's
right.
The shipment tracking info that shows each of the individual, you may have more than one shipment for an order. So each of those is listed in that column as well. So you can kind of, see what's going on at a glance. I think it's important to note, I should have probably added the second screen to this little pop-up box that's in the screenshot here. There is a second screen to that. So once you put that information in, the second screen asks you to check the items from that order that are included. So that's what Tabitha was talking about with being able to ship partial orders, right? Just some of the things from an order, if they're ready, just go ahead and ship them out, and knowing that there's still some others to go and being able to kind of keep track of all of that within, on both sides, whether you're the merchant or the customer, being able to see where orders stand at all times.
Exactly. Yeah, because order fulfillment is so key. You want to reduce your own administrative overhead and work that goes into fulfilling orders, and you also want to make sure that's a really positive experience for your customers, so they keep on coming back and shopping with you. So this is definitely a key part of that process.
It's so important to be organized. It can go off the rails so quickly if you're not organized with that. All right. Then we have cost of goods. Cost of goods allows you to add what your products are costing you and allow the site to kind of keep track of your costs versus what you're charging in the store, and profit and stock value and all of that. Why is that useful, I guess, to start, and how does this sort of work within WooCommerce?
Well, it's very helpful to know what your bottom line is, what sort of profit you're generating, and perhaps, do you need to increase prices, and you can then also see which are your most popular sellers, and whether you have, you're pricing them at the right level. You can compare even, types of product categories, which ones are selling best, which ones are your big profit generators. So there's a lot to look at when you're thinking about your catalog, especially let's say that you're paying up front to get for certain runs, so you get something produced, 100 units of something. When it comes time to get another 100 units, looking at what sort of profit you've generated can tell you, well, should I get that 100 units generated or go higher or lower? Perhaps I need to increase my prices. Perhaps I need to find a better manufacturer that's going to reduce my cost. So there are lots of use cases. I had a really interesting chat with someone that was a book publisher, and this was golden for him because it was a very niche sort of publishing house, and they did really small runs. So it was really important to see, year over year, the sales generated from these goods and what sort of profit they were generating to see if it was even worth investing in a new run, or if they needed to know what they needed to change about that. So it's really simple to set up. What you do is when you're creating a product or you're editing a product, there's a little cost field. You just enter the cost of the product, and then we're going to take care of the rest of crunching the numbers for you. So when you go into WooCommerce, you've got your reports page. We have added these profit reports directly to that section, and then you can report by date, product, category. If you click over onto that stock tab that we see here in the second image on the slide, you're going to be able to see the product valuation reports there. And so you can then view overall, like all of the products that you do have a cost of goods entry for. You can see what the cost valuation is, and also the retail valuation, just to get an idea of like your overall stock and catalog values. So yeah, it can be very useful, especially if you're having items manufactured for you.
Yeah, there's a tiny snippet of what that stock tab has on it there at the bottom. This is another one of those where there are so many different like report pages and settings that you can tweak for different date ranges and all of that. That was really hard to kind of capture that all in one slide. But there's a lot going on there to be able to really fine tune like last year versus this year type stuff, or like what have I done in the last 30 days, and being able to sort of make changes, like you said, make changes on your pricing or make changes on your pre-ordering things, and then having that total valuation under the stock tab there to be able to see what you currently have in your store, what it would generate if you sold it all, and be able to make comparisons there and make some changes. So
Mm.
again, there's like a ton of tabs there in the reporting section for profit and stock, and it's kind of hard to get them all in here, but there's a lot of information there for being able to see what's going on in your store with your products. Next up is this is, I think, personally one of my favorites. I got to play around with this a bunch in setting this up and for the presentation. And I just love what was done here. This is one of the ones that's like it wasn't a plugin before. I mean, there were plugins to do some things similar, but this wasn't like a plugin that we sort of ported in. We're like, this needs to be in core. We think this needs to be better, so we're going to build a better version of it. What am I even talking about? Email customization is the title of the slide, and allows you to take those WooCommerce default emails and even a couple of the emails that have now been added as well, like the shipment tracking one, and customize those. Add your own logo, your own colors, customize the text, and all of that. What can you tell us about email customization?
Yeah, this is also near and dear to my heart because I worked with the team. Our Skybridge team had built Jilt, which we still are
That's right, yeah.
Maintaining for now before it's sunset. But so I really love everything email because it's been such a large focus while I've been working with our team, and I'm really pleased to see that we've brought some of the learnings and the features that we think are the most useful for e-commerce merchants, and brought them into like a native experience so that you're not having to add some sort of separate email platform service, at least if you're really focused right now on transactional emails. So this does cover the transactional emails that are built into WooCommerce, plus the WordPress emails, like when it's like a password update or reset email, or there's a new user email, or some of the like internal administrative notifications that you get as the site owner. These also will benefit from the templating interface that we built. So what you can do is if you go into WooCommerce, into the marketing menu, so that's where you're managing coupons right now, you'll see that there's a new emails section within marketing, and that's where this feature lives. And you can customize the template. which means that this template that gets applied to all of the transactional emails within WooCommerce, you just go into the one spot and you can change add your logo, change background colors, foreground, text colors, headers. You can do all these different settings so that you can really reflect your brand. It's always a good idea to personalize these emails, and I'm sure all of us can spot a default WordPress and WooCommerce email from a mile away, because we've all seen them. And we know how difficult it is to work with the default templates. Like, you no longer have to go in and open up the PHP and make modifications there. You can just use this visual interface that we've built. You can still manage the emails on an individual basis. So when you go into the email section, you have an option to click through. Even before that, you can choose to enable or disable certain emails. So you don't have to have all of the transactional or customer related or admin related emails active. It's all up to your discretion. If you already had existing settings when we went live with this feature, we would have pulled those in, so we wouldn't have overwritten them. And then you can modify individual emails and make sure that if you want to add some additional content, you can do that with a little additional content section. You can also include placeholders. So if you want to pull in a customer name or an order number or order date, something like that, you can use a little placeholder, and that will change dynamically depending on who the email has been sent to. You're also benefiting from our own email service. So you're not having to set up like an SMTP plugin or something and manage your emails separately, which means that you don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about it. You should always consider it when you're sending emails regardless, but about deliverability. So we're taking care of managing the email server for you so that you're not having to make sure that you've got a healthy sending reputation. We've taken that into consideration, and we even do like a little inbox check to make sure that that your deliverability is going to be healthy going from the start. You can send test emails to multiple addresses too, all at once. And we also added new emails. So that item shipped email that we chatted about a couple slides back, that's a new one that is managed from this feature. And we also broke out the refund email. So within WooCommerce, there's only the single refund email. And we felt that it made sense to have a partial and full refund, so that is highlighted for your customer, because it can cause a little bit of confusion when you're just getting like a refund email and you're like, hey, well, so why didn't I get everything back? Right? So we're able to call that out. You can change the text, but it starts out with like, partial refund for order number. And then you've got like that amazing sequential order number that follows after that.
That's right. Yeah, I was just impressed at how quickly I was like just tinkering with this. You can see in the screenshot I did just like a GoDaddy Pro branded one just for fun to kind of tinker with it some, and I was just impressed with how quickly I was able to get to like a not stock looking email that looks like the brand, right? And it took hardly any time. I would say, I don't know, spend 15-20 minutes. You can go through all your emails and just kind of be done now. What used to be opening a handful of PHP files and making sure that, colors and headings and logos and all of that were matching, and that you kind of were able to put the content where you needed to and everything, that's just not even necessary anymore. You just come in here, swap out the sort of the global styles, the logo and the colors and text and stuff, and then walk through each of your emails just to kind of fine tune some of the messaging there for each of the emails that go out. I mean, I think within 15-20 minutes, you're kind of done. You're done messing with your emails and you can move on to something else.
Yeah, exactly. And that's our goal too. We want to take that burden off and just make it really simple. So, even in addition to that, you don't have to worry about responsiveness. We can see here in this screenshot that we're looking at the desktop version, but you can switch to a tablet or mobile version. It's not really tablet, it would be mobile. Mm-hmm. And if you're familiar with building an HTML email from scratch, you have to put in all of the media
Yes,
clauses to be able
unfortunately.
to pull that off, right? And then it's even like, then it comes down to like the email app that the email is opened on. Outlook is
Yep.
also a bear to work with. So we've taken those things into consideration to make them responsive, to make the email responsive, and to have that cross-platform support.
I think it's amazing. I had a blast just sort of playing with it as I was putting some of this together.
Cool. Glad to hear it.
And then we have gift certificates. This allows you to, as a store owner or even as an agency or pro, with helping your clients out, design and offer custom gift certificates that can be redeemed in store, online, and printed out as PDF and all of that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about gift certificates and just sort of all the bells and whistles, not all the bells and whistles, but some of the main features of gift certificates and how they're used within the WooCommerce store or redeemed online, or I mean in store, as opposed to just online.
I think I followed.
Probably not. I'm sorry. Start
No,
over. Why
no.
don't you just tell us what gift certificates are?
So the gift certificates are just a really great way to promote your store or to have others promote it for you, right? You can then provide gift certificates to your customers so that they can share the wonders of your store with their friends and family by purchasing a voucher that will take either the full amount or a partial amount. Rather, let me phrase that. That can be used to apply like a full or partial redemption when it's used. It can also be used for specific products or your entire catalog, or your so you can segment it. You can say that it should be applied to a whole order. So like the other features, there are all these like little options that are baked in that kind of make something which appears to be pretty simple on the outside get a little bit more complex as you work with it. So as a merchant, you have a lot of flexibility for how you can set up a gift certificate, and it's really useful. I've found with COVID, I'm in Montreal and we're still kind of in a lockdown period, and a lot of shops that have retail locations have found it really useful to switch over to offering gift certificates, so that you don't have to do so much in person, right? So people can have this applied online and then go and pick up in store, because this is often for supporting local businesses. I've been wanting to support our local restaurants because I haven't been able to dine in for a really long time. So with a gift certificate, I can do that. I can, buy up a few for my family, and then also as gifts for others. And then it's a way of contributing to the local restaurant industry. So people want to also do that. I know there's been a big push to make sure that local businesses are getting the support they need. So by offering this, it's just another way for your customers to check out with you. And it's really simple. Like you can use that existing coupon code field at checkout for the gift certificate redemption. So you're not having to get messy with additional code. You're not having to think about, okay, where do I need to add this to the checkout flow? It's we've taken those things into consideration, and it's built right in to the typical checkout process for you.
Yeah, I've used this a couple of times for client sites, sort of back before it was included as a built-in feature when it was its own standalone plugin, and really loved being able to take the time to use the built-in designer to sort of make the gift certificates look exactly the way that I wanted, so that they match the brand of the client that I was making them for. You can place all the fields and stuff that are the product name and price, the value or whatever, and all of that can go on there, and you can kind of drag those around in a real visual way, put those where they belong, and be able to sort of make the gift certificate look exactly the way you want it to, so that it matches the brand and everything.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that out. I totally skipped over that. So thank you so much. But
Skipped
yeah,
over my
it's
favorite part. So I'm like I'm
right.
definitely a designer at heart, at the core. So like with the email customization, I loved being able to design things, and same goes
Right.
for the gift certificate, just being able to design those the way that I want them to look and everything.
Yeah, so I'm glad. Yeah, and it's really what we do add a few resources to your site, to like your media files. So you don't need to start from scratch. You've got a few gift certificate options to start with, but as Marcus pointed out, you can they're customizable, so you can really play around with them so that they do properly reflect your brand and fit in with the emails as well.
Yeah, super simple. Everything's built like, the WordPress way. So you're uploading like a background for your certificate through the WordPress media library and all of that, and then being able to drag your fields where you want them and save them. And yeah, it's just super streamlined. And I really enjoyed being able to do that for clients without having to, again,
Mm.
open another PHP file and try and like figure out where things need to go and write some CSS and hope for the best that things are
Right.
positioned where they're supposed to be positioned and all of that. It's all real intuitive to build those and brand those the way that you want them to be.
Mm.
And I think, yeah, so those were all the built-in ones. And so I wanted to also make sure that we talked a little bit about some of the premium extensions, or just that there are a number of additional premium extensions included in the managed WordPress e-commerce hosting. One of the John in the chat said, "I have no questions. I'm just learning and hoping to set it up myself to sell my own digital products." So, a lot of what we've talked about here sort of is favoring sort of physical products and shipping things, right, and that kind of thing. But there are so many plugins that we also have that we're also offering here, and a lot of them are digital focused as well. So I don't know. There's over 70 of them, so they're scrolling here. No need to list them, but if you want to talk a little bit about some of the other things that we have offered that aren't built in, but that are part of the premium extensions as well.
Yeah, like I love this video because of how long it takes to just
It's
go
still
through the
going.
entire list.
Yep.
It's massive, exactly. Yeah, it's a really awesome list of features, and they can all be installed with one click. You click that install button, it's going to take care of installing it, activating it for you. All you need to do then is go over into the settings to get up and running with them. And it really covers the gamut. You can filter the list uh, by category. So we did separate them out into categories. So like you can look at cart and checkout versus marketing and messaging, plugins, payment gateways. As you can see, I think we have like probably a good dozen payment gateways on there. Memberships is a really great plugin that
Yeah.
if you're selling anything that needs that you need to restrict content for, this will help you do that so that you can make sure that people are signing up to and becoming a member to get, if you're a publisher, to get some of the content that you publish. A 360-degree image that's fantastic for improving the images. So like on a product page, it improves the experience that a customer is going to have by making it possible to add additional images, and in Rotator, I believe too, right? I
Mm-hmm.
haven't. Yeah, I know Marcus and I have chatted about a lot of these at some point
Yeah.
on various webinars and podcasts.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a whole lot. So, and we've got like administrative focused plugins there too, like for packing and picking lists. So that way you can print something out, and then when you're going to pack a package, you've got your list that you can check off everything. Make sure you've got that in the box correctly. So the real benefit of the plan is that you have access to all of these plugins for free. Otherwise, if you were to install all of them or purchase a subscription and install all of them, you'd be spending like $6,000 a year on them. So please check that out if you haven't. It's under, when you go to your WooCommerce menu item in your WordPress admin, you'll see it under extensions. And there's a GoDaddy included extensions tab, and it has all of these plus the native features so that you can quickly click through to get to the settings for those native features as well, or to learn more.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
and
should have
notice, oh,
I should have done the math ahead of time, but just roughly speaking, I did a little bit of averaging, and I think just the built-in features alone are like $400 or $500 a year worth of savings if you were to buy those as plugins. And again, something like Email Customizer is not even a plugin, so you can't even buy that one. That's just included already.
yeah, we've done the work for you. I noticed someone in, where is it here? Dominique in the Q&A was asking if there's someone that she can speak to learn more about these plugins and add-ons. And if you're on the GoDaddy Managed WordPress e-commerce plan, we have a little Get Help area that's at the upper left corner of your admin area. And so you just click there, and you're going to speak to one of our expert WooCommerce care associates that will be able to chat about all of these plugins and the native features. Any questions you have about WooCommerce itself, they know the platform in and out, and will be more than happy to help you.
Yep, absolutely. So while this wasn't really set up to be sort of a salesy thing, just sort of to run through some of the features that are included with managed WordPress e-commerce hosting, I do want to just mention here, if you want to learn more about what is offered here, what's built in, what some of the premium extensions are, any of the other things that are also included with just purchasing managed WordPress e-commerce hosting, like an SSL and a domain name and all that stuff, go to godaddy.com/hosting/ecommerce-hosting, or just do a search for GoDaddy managed WooCommerce hosting, and I'm sure it'll be the first thing that comes up. So just wanted to leave that there for anybody who's interested after looking at some of those that want to learn a little bit more. It's a great place to go to find out more. It looks like you already grabbed one of the questions in the Q&A, and we have just a couple of minutes left here. So we'll look at what we have here. Suzanne had a couple of questions. One, can you give an example about what plugins you're talking about? I think we kind of walked through some of those, so not going to worry about that too much. But Suzanne did also ask another one. So if GoDaddy is my site host, are these features already available to me?
Great question. So they are available to you if you have the managed WordPress e-commerce plan. They won't be available on other managed WordPress plans. But for the managed WordPress e-commerce plan, this is where we bundle all of the extensions. We make sure that these native features are available. So please check that out. You should be able to, just trying to think of where you see your plan information. In the my
hosting,
my
my
hub.
hosting dashboard.
Yeah. So it should be there, that where you can look up your hosting plan for the site. And if you are on the e-commerce plan, then yes. And you could also just do a quick check by going to WooCommerce extensions and then seeing if you have that GoDaddy included extensions tab. And if you do, you'll see all of the built-in features followed by all of the bundled extensions on that one page that you can check out.
Yep, that is actually all of the questions that we had in the Q&A. So we're at about time anyways. I'm wrap us up here. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We do have a couple of events coming up in the next 2 weeks. Next week, same time, we'll have a New Year coffee hour. We'll have a panel of guests joining us to talk about just starting off the new year right, pushing your businesses forward, pushing your client services forward, and all of that in the new year. And then the week after that, also same time, back here at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have a couple of guests talking about streamlining your pre-client journey to book more clients. So both of those can be found at events.godaddy.com, same as where you registered for this one. So please do go ahead and check that out, register for those, and join us back here the next couple of Wednesdays. And other than that, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you, Tabitha, for being here and sharing all of that. That was some incredibly awesome information, and I want to hear what people do with that. But thanks so much for coming on and telling us about those.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. It was a great session, and I hope to see you again.
Awesome. I'm sure we absolutely will. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.